Yo, welcome to Spectator Sporting. I'm Zach Roach, along with my partner, Mr. Adi Wiley. We got a big show for y'all today. It's training camp. That means we are doing a Bears season review. Football is right around the corner. I'm so pumped up. And to help us go through the season review, we got my man Coach Floyd with us. We got my man Boone in the building with us. Big show for y'all today. Make sure you go on YouTube, subscribe to that Spectator Sporting page, hit that bell. Also, like it. If you like it, it'll really help us out a lot. So please go ahead and like it. And comment, because we do comment. Also, check us out on Spotify. You can listen to the show. This will be up there very soon. The Chicago Bears got rid of, it's a whole new regime now. New GM, new head coach. So a lot of things have changed. So the Bears are kind of in a rebuilding mode. No more Khalil Mack. Yep. A lot of defensive players gone. So, Coach, I'm gonna start with you. Let's talk about this QB situation. Justin Fields, who got drafted by the Chicago Bears last year, made some moves to go get him, moved up in the draft to get him. Now those coaches and GMs that drafted him are not on the team now. So now you got Ryan Poles, who's inherited Justin Fields. Matt, say his last name for me.
Eberflus.
Flusy. Yeah. New coach. So let's talk about this quarterback situation, Coach.
All right, you got Justin Fields, 11th pick in the 2021 draft. Ryan Pace made a desperate move to try to keep his job. Yep. Moved up. Not a bad move, but it was definitely a desperate move. Going into last year, I was just very confused. Because they, even after drafting, they said Andy Dalton was the number 1 QB. But then they said Justin Fields was the number 2 and Nick Foles was the number 3. That was very confusing. Like, okay, was Justin Fields ready? Was he not ready? I think Justin Fields should have been number 3 or he should have been the number 1. Yeah. Never the number 2. Yeah, that was just crazy to begin with. But Justin Fields showed some flashes. Had a very good Baltimore game, San Fran game. We were really excited after the Pittsburgh game. But when you look over his overall numbers, they were bad. They were bad. 1,870 yards, 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. 10 interceptions and 59% completion. Of those 10 picks, 6 of them was on third down. And I understand third down, you got to get rid of the ball or whatever. But his third down numbers was really bad. Really bad. Don't know if that's the product of the offense. Don't know if that's the product of him. He got sacked a lot. So it was a whole bunch of things that on film that I could see as the coach coming in that maybe this regime is not sold on him. To add with that, I would just love to be in Ryan Poles. Ryan Poles come from a winning organization. He was with the Kansas City Chiefs. I would just want to know what was his draft. How did he feel about him coming into last year's draft? I would love to see that. How did the head coach or how did Luke Getsy, how did these guys feel about him before the draft? Okay, this year they inherited this guy. We all thought that they were going to go get some weapons to see could Justin Fields play. They did the exact opposite. They went defense twice. They got a flyer 3rd round, Velus Jones, who's probably more of a special teams guy. So what that tells me is they don't think they're going to win much, and they want to see what this dude could do without talent. And he's probably, if he could play, that's great. That's make their job a lot easier. But if he can't play, I don't see him being with this regime a very long time, or them giving him too many shots at it. And that's once again not probably because what he does for them. Maybe they came in with the feeling of we don't think he got it. But once again, they're going to give him an opportunity. He's going to be running for his life or whatever. So like I said, Ryan Poles definitely came in and started focusing on his offensive line. He's going to try to give him protection. Might be one of the worst offensive lines in the league. He's trying to work with scraps or whatever. But Ryan Poles is definitely trying to rebuild this entire roster. Whereas you look at the opposite of Zach Wilson and New York Jets, they went and got him weapons. They went last year and they got him a 2nd round pick. They got him a receiver. They got running backs. They got tight ends. They went and got him weapons. So that's the complete opposite of Ryan Posey saying, I'm trying to rebuild this whole thing instead of just focusing on the quarterback. If it's right, I don't know. If it's wrong, I don't know. But this QB situation is, I think they just gonna let Justin Fields show us what you got, but we not necessarily got to invest in you.
Wow. And you bring up a good point too, because what also you got to realize, this year's draft class is quarterback heavy. It's a lot of good quarterbacks. It's gonna be
CJ Stroud from
it's gonna be
Alabama.
It's a lot of good quarterbacks that's gonna be. So that's a very fair point. Hey, Boom, talk to me. What you think about this Bears QB situation?
So the Bears QB situation, I'm going to the depth of the QB roster, and we going to talk about Trevor Siemian as the backup. Then we got Nathan Peterman as the third string quarterback, and that's not saying a whole lot. So right now the Bears QB situation is in just we trust. All right, we're putting all our eggs in one basket, all in Justin Fields, and just we trust. And I like the idea. You know what I'm saying? Let this guy. I've been watching this guy since I'm a shout out in a Netflix special TV show, Quarterback One. It's a high school quarterback show. I've been watching Justin Fields since way back then, and I believe in his talent. I believe that he's the most athletic guy on the field every time he get on the field, with the speed, the arm, the deep ball accuracy. So I feel like he has potential. But last year, if you look at him compared to the other quarterbacks that was drafted in the last year, number one, I feel like the best quarterback was Mac Jones, all right? Mac Jones had 3,801 passing yards. He had a 67.6 quarterback rating, right? He had 22 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Now, compared to Justin Fields, 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Only 58.9 completion percentage. You know, not good. Coach Mark said, 1,870 yards. It's not bad. Not good, I mean. Zach Wilson, the other guy that was kind of on the bottom tier, he still threw for 2,334 yards. He had 9 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He had a completion percentage of 55.6.
Pretty low.
That's not that good.
No, not good. So that's
Zach Wilson was in. He got sacked a lot too. Zach Wilson got sacked.
Zach Wilson and Justin Fields was like those two bottom guys, and Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence was the two top guys. Trevor Lawrence had 3,641 yards, 12 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. Okay, on a 59.6 quarterback rating.
Not that good.
12 touchdowns, 17 interceptions.
Not that good.
Yeah,
not that good.
And he was highly touted.
So all these, except him, and then we had the other guy for the 49ers.
Trey Lance.
And I'm not
Who
counting
wasn't good when he played.
He only played like 2 games, so I'm not really counting him. But the other 4, everybody had a pretty pedestrian season instead of Mac Jones. Mac Jones was killing.
Until he got blown out by the Buffalo Bills.
I mean, that was a playoff game. Yeah. But the overall season, 22 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. He had a 92.5 quarterback rating. I mean, look, Mac Jones.
He had a solid year.
Mac Jones was the man.
How many yards he threw for?
He threw for 3,801 yards.
3,801 yards?
Yeah, okay. Trevor Lawrence threw for 3,641.
Okay.
Justin Fields only 1,870 yards.
But Justin Fields missed 5 games due to injury.
Yeah.
And he didn't start the first 2 games.
Let me tell you something. Justin Fields only had 270 passing attempts, while Mac Jones had 521 attempts passing the yards. Trevor Lawrence, 602 attempts. They was throwing the ball.
But boom, they gonna have more attempts and more yards because they played more games. They played like 7 more games than him.
I'm just saying, so you have more understanding about those 2 guys, Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones. You can understand what they have because they have more attempts. All right, so they played more games. All right, Zach Wilson played more games than Justin Fields, but only had 383 attempts compared to Justin Fields' 270 attempts. So I see more from those guys. I mean, look, Justin Fields, the bottom line, the quarterback situation is all about Justin Fields, and I just don't know yet. He can throw the ball deep. I feel like he's a great play-action quarterback. Run the ball. If the O-line is good, run the ball, let him throw the ball deep, and he'll thread the needle deep. So it's all about the scheme. Oh man, the quarterback situation is like it's all the eggs in one basket, which is cool with me because if we lose, then we got a high draft pick, and we'll go ahead and get another quarterback.
Yeah, I hear what you said. I just don't feel like, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Justin Fields has a lot of improvement, so I'm not saying he don't have improvement. I just feel like with the New England situation, they did it early. They released Cam. They was like, no, Mac Jones, and they had a plan for him.
Yeah.
They had a plan for him. I think when the Bears threw Justin Fields out there against Cleveland, they had no plan.
With that,
They had no idea what they wanted to do with him. They had,
Nagy did a bad job.
So I feel like the coaching level, like, and once again, this is all going to be proven this year with Justin Fields. Like, we going to see. So we can't really blame the coaches because he's now in training camp as the #1 guy. He's a certified starter, so we can't go that route.
Yeah.
But last year, I don't think he was set up for success.
Oh, I agree.
He was not set up for success. The Patriots, Bill Belichick, who's offensive coordinator, what's his name? When he just got the Raiders job, Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels is a great offensive coordinator.
That's why I want the Bears to be.
Yeah, you know, he's a great offensive coordinator. He say, okay, I'm not gonna try to have Matt, what's his name?
Jones.
Matt Jones do all this. I'm gonna dink and dunk down the field. We're gonna run the football, and we're gonna make it simple as possible for him. You know, so I just think the Bears. They tried. They had no idea.
He's right. They just dinked and dunked. They kept it simple.
Kept it simple. The Bears had no idea. They tried to run Marcus. Coach, you bring this up, and it's a very great point. When you say they tried to run the Andy Dalton offense with Justin Fields, they tried to run like
the Red Rifle offense.
Yeah, the Red Rifle offense, and you trying to make Justin Fields beat the Red Rifle. That's not him. So I just think like it was just I don't think it was a good setup, a great plan.
And I know this is a different show, and it goes back to structure where the week of Cleveland, where it's Matt Nagy saying, Andy Dalton's our quarterback. Andy Dalton's our quarterback on Monday. On Tuesday, Andy Dalton's our quarterback. On Wednesday, they name Justin Fields.
The starter.
Like it's just the structure. I'm gonna keep saying it. It's like it makes no sense.
Yeah. You know what? I just feel like you can clearly, even going back to Mitch Trubisky, you can make offense surround around Justin Fields' strengths. Like I said, I've been seeing this young man play ball since high school. All right, you can make an offense around his strengths. He can be good, but I haven't seen that yet. The Bears. If they don't do it, he's going to have another bad year. If they do it, then yeah, he can be the best quarterback in that draft. But I don't know. I don't trust no offensive coordinator yet. Who's the offensive coordinator again for the Bears? For the guy from Green Bay?
Luke Gesky.
Luke Gesky.
Yeah.
He talk a good game. He talk about playing, making a coordination around the player personnel, which Matt Nagy didn't do. He had a scheme. He had plays in his mind, trying to put a round circle in a square peg. Now Luke Gesky saying that he'll put a square peg in a square hole. So it could be great because he's got to get clear skills. But when you use those skills or when you put the offense around his weaknesses, I don't know. So he could be, again, statistically, the worst quarterback in that draft for 2021. Zach Wilson. Between him and Zach Wilson could be they fighting for the worst spot. Trevor Lawrence didn't really play that. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is bad, but Trevor Lawrence he got skills. So we'll see. Trevor Lawrence threw for 3,641 yards. The boy was he was good. He had 602. He had 602 passing attempts compared to Justin Fields 270.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He was throwing that ball. He was slinging that boy. So you have to sling the ball. Remind me of Peyton Manning rookie year. Peyton Manning threw a lot of interceptions rookie year too.
28 and 28.
But he was slinging that rock, which gave him the experience to be better his next year. So Justin Fields really didn't sling the rock to gain that good experience on the ball. So you got to tailor that offense around him. Will the Bears offensive coordinators do that? Is the O-line good enough to run the ball in order to create a good play action game for Justin Fields to play action, bootleg, roll out, throw that deep ball 70 yards down the field? He got all those kind of skills, but will we do that and set him up for it? I don't know. So the Bears situation right now, in Justin we trust, in the offensive coordinator we trust. Would he put Justin Fields in the right position to be great? That's the question.
Fair enough. Adi, let's talk about this Bears quarterback situation.
All right, well, there's 5 second-year quarterbacks who was drafted in the first round who's hoping to have that huge sophomore leap. We talked about the Jets, Zach Wilson, the New York Jets. They did draft the Buckeye wide receiver, Garrett Wilson, with the number 10 overall pick. The Jaguars looked out for Trevor Lawrence. They signed the former Arizona Cardinal wide receiver, Christian Kirk, to a $72 million deal. In the second round of the draft, the New England Patriots took the fastest wide receiver in the draft, Tyquan Thornton from Baylor, and they traded a third-round pick for the former Dolphin, Devontae Parker, so they got him to help out Matt Jones. you have Trey Lance, okay, with the 49ers. They just signed Deebo Samuel to a 3-year contract extension. They already have a top 3 tight end in the NFL, George Kittle, okay, to help out Trey Lance, okay. Now, what did Ryan Poles do for Justin Fields? He gave him a slingshot of some nunchucks in a gunfight, okay. That's what he did for Justin Fields, okay. So in the second round of this past draft, Ryan Poles, he passed up on the Georgia Bulldog, George Pickens.
Well, unbelievable catch yesterday.
Yes, passed up on George Pickens.
Wasn't he hurt coming into the draft though? He come up with injury, right?
He was
But he played late in the year.
Later in the year.
He played the championship.
Yes, sir. And then they also passed up on the Western Michigan wide receiver, Sky Moore. He's with the Kansas City Chiefs. And hopefully this guy has a speedy recovery. John Minchie with the Alabama Crimson Tide. He just got diagnosed with leukemia, cancer. I really love the guy coming out of college, but he's going to miss the season. But also the Cincinnati wide receiver, Alec Pierce. Okay, from he's with the Indianapolis Colts.
I like that.
Because I was really looking at these guys real hard before the draft. Like, man, hopefully we can get one of these guys. None of them. Pass on all of them. Okay, so other than Darnell Mooney, who do we have at wide receiver for the Bears? A bunch of 4th string guys are going to be out the league in 2 to 3 years. Okay, Byron Pringle. His best season was last year. 2 receptions a game, 33 yards a game, 5 touchdowns. Okay. Who else we get? St. Brown.
St. Brown from the
2018 6th-round pick, hasn't done anything. Has a really cool name. Okay. Can't pronounce it though. Diaz Newsome, 2021 6th-round pick from North Carolina. He hasn't done anything in the NFL yet. We got N'Keal Harry. All right. So we traded a 2024 7th-round pick to the New England Patriots for Harry. His best season was 2020, 2 receptions a game, 22 yards a game, 2 touchdowns. Okay.
Wow.
Who else we got? Tajay Sharp, 2016 5th-round pick by the Tennessee Titans. He hasn't done much since his being injured after his rookie year. He hasn't really been the same. We got Velus Jones, who's from Tennessee, 3rd-round pick rookie. He's like a kick return guy, okay? And we got another guy, tight end, O'Shaughnessy. It rhymes with Hennessy, okay? So that's who Justin Fields gets. All right, so, you know what I mean? That's what's going on. And so, Boone talking about some, you know, the thing is, it's like they didn't really give him a chance. Like Roach said, they didn't give Justin Fields a chance before last season because they didn't give him rest with the ones. He's not going to get a chance this year because he don't have no damn weapons. I don't care who you are.
Wait a minute. I feel like the offensive coordinator is the key because if you run the ball, you do play action, you cut off half the field, you can scheme receivers open. You can just have a scheme.
They can't get open. The reason why they're not good receivers is because they can't get open. If they could get open, they wouldn't be 4th string wide receivers going to be out the league by 2024. So look, we talk about, and I think their plan is to get what Rose brought up, people like C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young or even Kentucky's Will Levis, okay? Those guys, I hope not, because you're not really going to know how good Justin Fields is after the season because he don't got no damn weapons. But I would want them to take, they're going to have a top 5 pick in the draft. I want them to take a left tackle. We just got Riley Reif at left tackle, but he's a journeyman, he's mediocre. We need a left tackle, okay? And so, but they're probably going to take a quarterback. They're probably going to trade Justin Fields after this season and get a bunch of draft picks. That's what it looks like to me.
But see, this is what y'all don't realize about the Bears. Justin Fields could actually play good this season.
That's what I'm saying.
And they still could only win 5 games.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
He could actually make a big leap. And they still don't win that many games just because they have so many holes in their tails. Which brings me to this question, Boom. Other than QB, what's your biggest concern for the Bears season?
I really want it. It's so many concerns. Jesus Christ. I mean, every position is a concern, including quarterback, including the coaching staff, including the front office. It's just a big concern. And I only can pick one because the head of the show, Adi Wali, told me only pick one. So
Time constraints.
So I'm gonna go with what's really interesting to me in my grit of football is the DBs. Okay, because they are clearly our best category on the team.
Oh, okay.
But will they actually reach my expectations? So we got 2 second-round picks. We got a corner in Gordon. We got the strong safety in Brisker. We got Eddie Jackson, who was the man coming out of Alabama his first 2 years. Got that big contract. All right, and then we got the other corner,
Jalen
Johnson from Washington, who was a great. He seemed like a really strong, solid cornerback. And we got a nickel. We got Graham back there, nickel. We got a lot of different.
Tavon Young,
from the Ravens. Yeah. So, but would they mesh? Would they really be like the Seattle Seahawks back in the day when they had the Legion of Boom? Yeah. It's like the potential. Because our front seven, or at least our front four D linemen is kind of weak in my opinion. So would the DBs be able to give those front four guys enough time to get to the quarterback? Will they cover long enough to get those guys to the quarterback? Because they work opposite. They work opposite. Either front seven can be good and the DBs is weak, or the opposite. So we can invest in the DBs. Would that help the overall defense? So my question, I'm concerned that we invested in the DBs and would it actually reap the benefits? Will we get the fruit for our labors about investing in that system? So if they're not good, then we all messed up.
I think they have to be good because they passed up on weapons for Justin Fields to get these Brisker and Gordon. So the pressure's on them to be good. If they ain't good, then it's like, damn, you might as well just get the boy from Georgia Bulldogs and all these people, George Pickens and all these Sky Moores.
I heard mixed reviews about Gordon. I heard sometime I hear him, they had about 4 practices so far, 4 or 5 training camp practices. I heard sometimes he got burnt, then sometimes he made big plays. Brisker, I heard good things about Brisker. Eddie Jackson, I feel like he is good. I don't know what's been going on with him for the last couple of years. Jalen Johnson, in my opinion, is super solid. So I have hope for him. But if they're not good, like they need to be for this team to be our strongest position on the field, offense and defense, our DBs have to be the strongest position for this team to win. What's the 6.5?
6.5 is the over-under.
Is the over-under. If they can win, that DB's got to be killing to get over 6.5. So that's my concern.
I do agree. I do think the DBs are the strongest, but Gordon is looking like he's going to play the nickel. And they're going to find somebody, Vildor, Graham, to play the outside.
Yeah.
So they're saying
I was visioning him doing both.
Most base defenses now is 3 corners.
Yeah, I was visioning him moving back and forth between the outside and the nickel, depending on the play. Like he's always on the field, depending on what's going on.
I could see us with 2 linebackers and 3 corners.
Adi, what's your biggest concern for the Bears besides the quarterback position?
Run defense. Okay. The Bears had the 9th worst run defense in the NFL last year. Akeem Hicks is gone. We knew he was going to go. We know he was going. He's in Tampa Bay, about to try to get a ring with Tom Brady. I was surprised to see the Bears let the 25-year-old Bilal Nichols walk to the Raiders. He signed a 2-year, $11 million deal with the Raiders. Eddie Goldman is over. Fine. We've seen it coming. He retired. He did sign with the Falcons. He opted out the 2020 year, and after that, it's like 2020 pretty much.
He got paid though, right? He got paid before then, right?
Yeah, he got paid. He had a $10 million contract last year. He played on a $10 million contract, but then he was going to get some more money, but then the Bears cut him to save some money, but they still had to pay him some money. And so then he signed with the Falcons and he retired on them and everything like that. So we lost 3 solid linemen, and then the Bears did sign Larry Ogunjobi to a 3-year, $40 million deal, but he failed the physical, and now he's with the Pittsburgh Steelers on a 1-year, $8 million deal. He lost $32 million. Wow. That's a lot of money. And so now the Bears did sign the Charger defensive tackle, Justin Jones. He was a 2018 3rd-round pick. He's coming off his best year, but it was 37 tackles, 5 tackles for loss. Hopefully the huge 340-pound Kyrus Tunga going to have a huge second year in the league. We got Angelo Blackston, Mario Edwards Jr., Mike Pennell, mediocre defensive tackles, and I'm shocked the Bears had 11 draft picks in 2022 draft. 0. Not one of them was a defensive tackle. I'm concerned about the run game. Going against A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones with the Packers just running all over us and stuff like that. You got the boys from the Vikings.
Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook. Yeah. So it's just...
DeAndre Swift.
DeAndre Swift for the Lions. Which is good. Swift is
They actually, the Dalvin Cook, we like the team that always shut Dalvin Cook down. That might change this year.
Yeah, we do be shutting down Dalvin Cook.
I'm concerned about us stopping the run.
Yeah.
What's your big-
that 3 technique is huge to let them. Now we're in the 4-3.
I feel like
to let
next year-
them the linebackers roam. That's
Next
gonna
year, our first round pick should not be an offensive tackle. It should be a 3 technique defensive tackle. We in the cover 2, Lovie Smith's type of Tampa Bay type of defense. We need a 3 technique. We need a Tommy Harris type of guy. We need that Warren Sapp type of guy. Our first pick next year should be a 3 technique tackle.
Let Roquan Smith make his job easier.
Make his job easy.
Well, Roquan's gonna play the wheel.
He gonna play the wheel.
He's gonna play the wheel. He's gonna play. He can move more.
Yeah.
The wheel.
Yeah.
So concerns. All you hear about is this team is gonna lose a lot of games. I've been watching shows. You see the 3-win, 2-win. Vegas got them at 6.5. Because they talk about all this lack of talent or the talent that they lost. You lost Khalil Mack, as we said. You lost Hicks. You lost A-Rob, Eddie Goldman, James Daniels, Jimmy Graham, 11 touchdowns last 2 years. You lost all of this talent, and they had only won 6 games last year.
Yeah.
So that's very scary.
Yeah.
All of that talent only lost 6 games. So so my biggest concern is overall is obviously we know the lack of talent, but it's 2 groups. The offensive lineman, because I'm scared Justin Fields is going to get killed.
Yeah.
And then what I want to talk about, and Adi started hitting on it earlier, is the wide receiver core.
Yeah.
The wide receiver core is horrific and by far nowhere near bottom of the league, is not even close.
Yeah.
If it could be number 33, it would be number 33 and you need 32. It is not even close.
Right.
I know people are going to hate me to say this. Darnell Mooney is great. Darnell Mooney is good, but he's not a number 1.
Well, let me tell you something.
He's not a number 1.
I don't want to cut.
5'11", 175. He's our number 1 though, but I don't think he's a number 1 receiver. Okay, Adi was looking on my notes and he got to, so if he's our number 1, who's our number 2? You want to go with Pringle, you want to go with St. Brown, you want to go with N'Keal Harry, want to go with Velus Jones, want to go with Moore. All of these people who we're talking about, and Adi hit it right on the head, they've never even been a 2 or 3 before.
Yeah.
So now, my opinion, you asking somebody who's never been a number 1, believe it or not, he led us in receptions, led us in yards last year, but A-Rob was still our number 1. When a coach went against the Bears, you still had the game plan for Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, we just didn't give him as many targets. So Darnell Mooney has never been the number 1. Darnell Mooney will see the best corner on every team this year.
It's a different level.
That's a different level.
Come on.
Okay, and that's great. And I think he's going to have a great year.
Yeah.
But he has to have a number 2. You got Byron Pringle, played 46 games in his career, 67 catches. You got St. Brown, 37 games, 37 catches. You got N'Keal Harry, 33 games, 57 catches. Wow. So you have Moore, who's probably had the most productivity, 50 games, 78 catches. So out of this group, somebody's going to have a career year.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're a legit number 2.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they're a legit number 3. Because somebody has to get the ball. Justin Fields got to throw it to somebody. So this group is not only bad, this group is horrendous. So hopefully, as you got to talk about schemes, hopefully Luke Getsy could scheme up some things, could whatever, but it's going to take miracles. This offense is going to be horrific, and I'm talking about all-time bad, and it's going to start with the receivers. You guys, it's going to look like some of those years you guys think different. Those Johnny Knox years when if you can't go deep, you can't do it all. I mean, Johnny Knox went deep. And
he went deep, though.
But, I mean, it's going to look like some of those years when you just look at our receivers, and I could see us having some numbers that we never seen before out there. Yeah. Just every week, different people lining up.
Yep.
Because we don't have a legit number 2, we don't have a legit number 3, and we don't have a legit number 4. Everybody is in their position by default.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think our tight end Clement gonna really take up that number 2 receiving target role.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have a great year.